You're watching the local origination channel, Channel 7.
The following is a rebroadcast of our 5th Someday Cinema show, originally seen on February the 12th of 1981. In it, Dwight Frizzell brings a whole new meaning to the word controversy. We hope you'll understand at this Someday Cinema.
Hi, I'm Randy Reeves. This week on Someday Cinema, we hope to raise your consciousness level just a little bit. Over the past few weeks, we've shown you black and white comedies, high-action films, satirical looks at life, as well as even a horror drama. But I can assure you that you've never seen anything like we're going to show you this week on Someday Cinema. We're featuring the abstract work of an Independence area resident who is also a graduate of the Kansas City Art Institute. His name is Dwight Frizzell. We'd like to show you one of Dwight's films to see just exactly what it is we're getting into.
I'm walking out the door, and I've just finished eating a wonderful lasagna with some blueberry cobbler, and I'm carrying a little film in my pocket. You see, the economic crunch drove me underground to make films cheaply, like a blues artist. I always carry my axe with me. And as for filmmaking, it's my opportunity to testify, to stand on the corner or on TV and profess my immoral accomplishments, the despair of life, and the beauty in that.
You're probably asking yourself, what did all that mean? And I've got to tell you, I haven't the slightest idea. But my guest this week on Someday Cinema has a good idea, because he's the creator of the film you just saw, little animated film I keep in my pocket. His name is Dwight Frizzell. Dwight,
Good evening.
I mentioned earlier that you were kind of like an abstract person, that the films you create are abstract. Is that a...
Well, just a point of reference here, I am a real person, even though I am two-dimensional right now on your TV image. I have some abstract ideas, but I do have flesh also.
Okay, so let me rephrase the question then.
Okay.
What you do, is it abstract?
Yes, a lot of the films that you'll see in this program are conceptual in nature, and they stem from ideas that I think are compatible with the video medium. And part of that has to do with the video medium being a dream space. TV has replaced the fireplace in many homes all over the United States. Instead of having fireplaces,
Are you saying people that sit around and warm their hands over the television?
not exactly warm their hands, but warm their minds. The psychological function of a fireplace as a continually changing dream space has been replaced by the television monitor, which is an electrical fire rather than a flame fire.
You're getting into a lot of terms I want to reference back to. What, I guess I don't really understand what dream space is.
Well, a dream space is, a fireplace works that way psychologically. You can sit and stare at a fireplace and watch the flames, which are transparent, continually changing, dancing, and these will suggest different images to you. They will, it's something you can lose your mind in, lose yourself in, and that's what I hope to create in some of the images that I produce. Mm-hmm. Not to necessarily bombard the viewer with images and with ideas to buy or purchase certain items as commercial TV. or to invade the private space of your living room or your bedroom, but to present a landscape that you can participate in, and not necessarily explain everything. That it doesn't necessarily deal with reason.
Okay, well, let's participate in your next film, Technos, Cosmos, and You.
Okay.
Play me some beautiful, dreamy music, dear Prince. Hey. Subconscious mind, my lords, my ladies, gentlemen. Have you ever swung along a beautiful country road with a gleam of sweet life in the air, groovy with gold in your pocket, riding a wild set of wheels at an easy pace? Are you there? Everything is smooth and cool. There's some traffic, but not too much traffic. But it's all right, you see, because you've got everything covered. Understand? You're driving along and the feel of the sun and the radio swinging a beautiful, crazy, wild tune. And you feel so good, you're right in there tight. Can you feel it? Yes. And suddenly your mind goes over to Hitlerville. You start thinking about a beautiful girl that you met there 5 years ago. And what a gasser she was. Oh, take me now! Beautiful. And the nose rubbed in a rose garden, so many roses. Can't later. Thinking about how charming she was, how gracious her people were, what a ball you had, what a beautiful time, how sweet, how generous, how crazy, how like a home in a home in a home in a home. Kick it was. And you kept thinking how you went out to the lake and you, ooh, man. Yes, 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 yes. And you go many, many other places along that Rosetta, the Reverie Kick, and all of a sudden you say, is everything all right? I haven't hit anything. I don't think I have. No. Those fenders all right? Yes. Good. Excellent. Better watch what I'm doing here. Who do you think's been driving while you were gone?
The next project that we're going to be looking at is called The Body of the Film.
That's correct.
Actually, it's a videotape, isn't it?
It began as a videotape. It's originally a videotape, then that was transcribed to film, and now back to videotape. So we are seeing a videotape, obviously, but it has gone through several processes which have created a layering veil of kind of a distortion of the image, but it also has changed the image to a certain extent, giving it more layers, more sensual texture.
I see. Well, it's kind of an erotic videotape. Can you explain to me how video eroticism relates to Pythagoras?
Well, we should begin with perhaps what Nam June Paik said. Nam June Paik, of course, is the founder and father of video art, and he made a statement. He said, video has yet to leave the breast. And on the surface of this statement, it seems as if he's saying video art is young. It is a young medium, and it's growing. It has yet to mature. But I agree with that, but I also think that there's a little more to that statement. Video has yet to leave the breast. I think that he was talking about also an erotic type thing. Take electricity itself. The video image is an electric image. Electricity comes from the Greek word electron,
which means amber. Amber is a fossilized resin that when you rub it, produces a static charge. This is kind of an intimate type of process, holding the amber yourself, rubbing it, creating this charge. There's kind of an erotic thing that's happening there. And that's what electricity is named after, instead of after bolts of lightning or electric fish. It's named after something that is a very personal activity. I find that interesting. Pythagoras, during his years of travel, met a Persian magus. This magus knew quite a bit about electricity, but did not refer to electricity as electricity, because the word was not coined at that time. This magus had built generators, matter of fact, and he called, even back then, which is in the early Greeks, he called electricity the breasts of Rhea Cabelli. To me, this rhymes with what Nam June Paik was saying, and also I find that image, the breasts of Rhea Cabelli, to be the muse of the video artist, to be also somehow an image in the center of what video is about. The medium itself is electronic. Electricity is an invisible fire that's transferred between bodies. It is a mysterious fire, perhaps it was born with life itself.
Very interesting. I didn't know any of this at all. Well, let's take a look at the body of the film.
Okay.
I'd like to ask you about the repeated segments that we saw in the body of the film. Why did you do that?
Repetition is a part of life.
I'd like to ask you about the repeated segments that we saw in the body of the film. Why did you do that?
Repetition is a part of life. It it's an indication of consciousness, you becoming aware of something. Repetition is part of existence itself. We breathe, we dance, and to me that's part of what that was about, the reoccurrence of that activity, and also the woman going behind the camera and coming back around in front, although you may not be aware that was happening. The entire performance was a dance, which the videotape that you saw is only one of the results of. It was a performance with the person running the camera, which myself and this person.
How did you get the camera so close to the body? It almost seems to skim right over her.
Exactly. That's how I did it, by going right over her body. With the idea that, to me, that's reminiscent of, there's a poem called The Giantess by Charles Baudelaire. And he gets into this whole thing of how the body, and in that case, in that poem, a female body, is a landscape, a huge landscape. It's a microcosm, macrocosm sort of thing. Talking about the repetition again, the closer that you look into things, the further you look into atomic particles, the more they look like the solar system. So you come full circle around again, and we just sort of swim in these repetitions. Of course, I wanted to add a twist at the end, to have a resolution.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I wondered if it would be different just to continue or to fade out, or, I'm always expecting a big payoff. It's kind of like the next film that we're going to show, A Song of Love. I expect something to happen at the end, like, anything. I expect explosions, or, some of the very rudimentary things that people think about, and yet you don't do that.
Well, we don't know that yet. We haven't seen that film yet, and it's coming right up. It's The Song of Love.
Right, okay, let's take a look at it.
Okay.
Oh
now that we've seen Song of Love, tell me about a movie that seems to have no payoff. It's only like a moving still picture.
Very much like that. It is another example of the dreamscape that I've referred to earlier. I think it would be nice to wake up in the morning, turn on TV, and it's cold outside, say, and there's snow, and to see a wonderful image of the Pacific Ocean. And it could be a live image, or it could be a taped image. It'd be nice to be a live image. And you would hear the sounds. You'd hear the ocean coming in, the tide, the waves,
right.
the birds. You'd hear these things. To me, that's exciting. I don't necessarily want to be bombarded with images when I watch TV. I think it would be nice to have a perpetual type image, and perhaps I can be the one that changes.
You did a project like that for the Kansas City Art Institute, didn't you?
Yeah, there's a piece entitled Sunset Event, which was 27 minutes live of a sunset in Johnson County. People could watch a sunset live on cable TV or look out their window and see the same sunset out their window. They could compare the two, and I made announcements to the effect that they could go outside and watch the sunset or remain inside and watch it, compare, as I said before, or, do something else if they wish.
What do you think their reaction was? Do you think most of the people went outside to look, or do you think they stayed inside
We had
and
one
watched the
person
television?
call on the station, and they said that it looked better on TV. Now, I disagree with that, but there was one person that did say it looked better on TV.
That's interesting. Okay, we're going to look at another one of your films now, and it's called
The Rising Surfs of the Body Opening.
Okay.
This film stems from some early experiences I had with video. In fact, stemmed from 1969 when I saw Apollo 11. Saw Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin. I saw them land on the moon. Some of the first images I saw from the moon, as everyone else that saw it, was the lunar landscape with the astronauts jumping around like kangaroos. Now, there was a peculiar thing about the image, and that was that you could see through the astronauts.
Right.
And the why that was happening was because the lunar landscape was so bright, lack of atmosphere and clouds and direct sunlight, that it was burning an image into the Vidicon tube of the video camera. It was burning that image into the tube, and when they would pass in front of the landscape, the astronauts, you would still see the landscape coming through. It looks as if they are partially transparent. And I really liked that effect. At the time, I wondered what was happening. Later, I learned, when working in video at the Kansas City Art Institute, I began working with video burn images, and that's what you're going to see next. The floating arms in the image that are moving will leave slight traces on the video image. I believe that life is sort of like this anyway. Everything around us is as if a brain, continuing the recording, and I continue a dialogue with everything that is going on. And all this information is recorded, where we are not, where we have moved, we still are. And it's some of those kind of ideas that go into the piece, regardless of whether that's apparent from it or not, is not necessarily important.
It's like the conversation we're having now. Weeks from now, we can go back, pull out that very same videotape, and have the identical same conversation that we're having right this very second.
Yes.
I wanted to make a point about the rising surfs of the body opening. The moon actually does play a central figure, like a role, in that videotape, doesn't it?
Yes. Above us is, in the image, above the floating arms, is the moon. The round circle you see is the moon. And the moon, of course, also leaves a video burn or video trace on the tube.
Okay, well, let's look at the rising surf of the body opening.
All right.
The next film appears to be just a simple clay animation, but actually it's much more to that to you, isn't it?
Well, the animation itself is simple. It is a stroboscopic view of time in the sense that for me, painting is a layering of surfaces. And I wanted to capture in what I was doing all of those surfaces in sequence, in succession. And the best way to do that was frame by frame on film. And the film is projected, and you will see it on your video monitor the same way that it was filmed, the same position that it was made, in an upright position as if on the wall or on the surface of your set. It also builds off and out of that surface.
And the name of the animation is?
This is just simply entitled First Painting.
First Painting. Okay, let's look at it.
Hello, Beth. Yeah, this is Dwight, and I'm calling again this time because the first recording didn't come out right. See, I'm recording this. So, I'll ask you again. Could you think of a number between 20 and 15,000? Oh, okay. Thank you very much, and I'll talk to you later, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, Susan Kissling?
No, here.
Well, this is Dwight Frizzell,
Yeah.
and I know her from school, and I'm working on a project. I go to the Art Institute right now,
Oh, yeah.
and I just need a number between 20 and 15,000. I was wondering if you could think of just any number between 20 and 15,000.
20 and 15,000?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. How about 600 or 6,450? Is that all
Okay.
right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
Bye.
Bye. Hello?
Hello, is Jan there?
May I ask who's calling?
Yeah, this is Dwight Frizzell. Okay. Shan?
No, this is her mother. She doesn't feel like coming to the phone.
Oh, okay.
She's sick tonight. That's the reason she's in.
Oh, okay.
I'll
Well,
tell her you called.
okay, and could you do a favor for me? I'm working on a project. I go to the Kansas City Art Institute, and I was just going to ask her for a number between 20 and 15,000. It's a project I'm working on. I just wondered, could you, just any number between 20 and 15,000?
You want me to ask her?
You could. Okay.
Dwight,
Yeah.
777.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
The next film we're going to look at is called Aldous Huxley's Signature. Who was Aldous Huxley?
Huxley was a writer who was influential to me, essentially for his essays, and in particular, The Doors of Perception. Huxley got the title The Doors of Perception from William Blake's statement that if the doors of perception are cleansed, things will appear as they are, infinite. And that essay, The Doors of Perception, is about hallucinogenic experience, which stems from his experience, Huxley's experience, with mescaline and other hallucinogens, pointing to a new visionary view of the world and a very open-minded type view and multi-layered view of what is happening.
So then Aldous Huxley's Signature, the film, came from your appreciation of him.
Partially from that, and also for some other type of concerns. One, to use the film to view something that was changing very slowly. I knew that the film was oxidizing. I knew that the signature itself was oxidizing. And I wanted to see some of these unchanging things change.
Okay, explain to me what oxidizing is.
Well, we're oxidizing all the time. We're burning up. Of course, you can see that more apparently if you take a piece of paper and you burn it. It's oxidizing very rapidly, and we are oxidizing at this time. It's a chemical process, but a process of change. And this was occurring to the signature, and by filming it, I thought it might become more apparent. Of course, this is futile. It doesn't become more apparent at all. The film itself is oxidizing as quickly as the signature was, and neither of these things are perceptible.
Well, maybe we better look at it before it completely oxidizes away.
Let's check it out.
Okay.
Initially, I hadn't made the film of Aldous Huxley's Signature, but I thought it was a good idea. I mentioned it to my friends after I had made the film, but I lost it in my room. Pressure from the major networks forced me to validate my statements and to make the film even though I didn't have Aldous Huxley's signature. I immediately read The Doors of Perception, which I recommend, and experienced an adrenochrome change, although I had not called it that previously. I was driven to hurriedly sign Aldous Huxley's name. Without delay, I mounted the movie camera on the animation stand, under which I found the film I had later lost in my room. Photo flood lights on, really a bit too bright, but at the correct 45-degree angles, I filmed the signature. There was no question of forgery here, because I felt Huxley's presence descend upon my hand. The camera ran at 18 frames per second for 3 minutes. The change of the signature was slight, imperceptible oxidation expedited by the hot lights. After the film was completely exposed, I burned the signature, which was smoking due to the heat of the floods. I delivered the film to Photomat for processing and went to the public library nearby to hang out by the Aldous Huxley books. This was a way to meet interesting people. But no one was there. I found an original edition of Arabia Inflix, signed by Aldous Huxley, of which there were originally 250 copies in the United States. I can no longer remember what happened that night after seeing the signature, except that his signature was identical to the one I had signed moments ago, of which the book, now lost, this film, and the ashes of the original signature are testament to. Xerox copies of the ashes are available upon request.
We've been seeing some of your films that have a very short time span, like 2.5, maybe 3 minutes at the longest. The next one we're going to look at is considerably longer than that, isn't it?
Oh, slightly, yes.
By how much? How long is it?
It's about 11 minutes.
And what's it about?
The film is sort of an unraveling of a mystery of a package that my teacher received. And this is one of the most influential and best teachers I've had, Tommy Gummersall, who was teaching at the Art Institute at the time. And he wrote the script to this film. And the film deals with making sense out of this package and a very ritualistic approach to that. As I said, Tommy Gummersall wrote the script, and I did the camera work.
And what's the title of the film?
No title.
No title is the title?
Exactly.
Okay, let's look at no title. Dwight, I'd like to thank you for being on Someday Cinema. I'm sure that by the visuals that you've seen, you've obviously had an influence on this week's program.
I would hope so. Hopefully we can, through this program, get a glimpse at some of the potentials of what TV can be.
You made some of the music that we saw, or that we heard in the backgrounds of some of the movies, right?
That is very true. Many of the films had music that I made. In the body of the film, for example, the music was the Antarctica scene from Vibrating Continents, which was performed by Opus and featured the bassoon playing of Bill Oldfather. And some of the other film was produced by myself. Some of the other film soundtracks were produced by myself.
Terrific. If you have a film like Dwight has brought to us, or a videotape, or a slide program that you would like for us to show on Someday Cinema, our address is 1600 South Nolan Road, Suite 232, Independence, Missouri, and our zip code is 64055. We hope you'll join us again soon for Someday Cinema 81. We can now be seen twice a day, Monday through Friday at 5:30 p.m. and 11 p.m., and on Saturday and Sunday at 11 p.m. These shows are rebroadcasts of earlier Someday Cinemas, videotaped from January the 15th through July the 16th of 1981. For Someday Cinema, I'm Randy Reeves.